Welcome to the Confidence Through Health podcast. My name is Jerry Snyder. As a health, wellness, and sports performance coach, my goal each week is to bring you experts to help you take control of your health and build your self-confidence. Thanks for including me today on your journey to better health. As an elite level runner and coach, I'm excited to introduce you to the All In Running Club. The All In Running Club exists to help you become a better runner. Whether you're a beginner, an elite runner, or anywhere in between, the mission of the All In Running Club is to give you the tools you need to find your success in running. Join today to take advantage of the 75% off yearly membership rate offer. Click the link below in the show notes to learn more. So thank you, Laurie, for being a guest on the Confidence Through Health podcast.
Thank you for having me here.
So I was really intrigued when I found out about what you're doing. Because I think it's definitely necessary. So you definitely found a void and started to fill it. But tell us a little bit about why you are so passionate about helping people with their health in a holistic manner and helping people connect those dots.
So it all started, well, I got my first kids when I was 20 years old. I got Kelsey and the Courts, which I later adopted my kids. And so through this process of having kids, searching out information. They had been abused, so I wasn't sure. There weren't, back in the early 80s, there were no Barnes and Nobles where you could just go to and find things in bookstores. Right. I started researching things, and then I had my own kids. I wanted to find more natural ways of doing things. I had a child with terrible ear infections that homeopathic medicine worked for. I found we are so missing in the women's healthcare system that when I had my own biological kids, there was no information for nursing mothers. There was, how do you find a midwife or do birth naturally? How do you just do it without taking drugs constantly?
Wow.
And so I became a doula and a lactation consultant. And that really is what started this whole holistic path for me.
Yeah.
And they didn't teach, when you go to medical school, they don't teach anything about the breast and how it's constructed, how it's worked. It's only an elective course. So I actually started building models of the breast and teaching how the breast works in hospitals to doctors.
Wow.
And so I ended up with 14 kids, 3 biological and the rest adopted, foster, or step kids. And that leads to a whole world of issues that you need to find different ways of handling things. And in 2011, I got the swine flu, and I had over 5 days of intensive care and 5 days of critical care. I had multiple near-death experiences. And the Lord told me when I was in the other world that I was to learn energy work. And I was to become a hospice volunteer. Well, after being a doula and having babies and this innocent things, I thought, oh my gosh, I cannot be with dead people. I had such an aversion to it, but the Lord told me to do this. And he said, through you, when that becomes solidified, then something's going to come through you that will help change the planet in some way. Wasn't given any information about that. I wondered about it for years, but I became a Reiki master and a reconnection healer. And I became a hospice worker through the Twilight Brigade, Daniel Brinkley's No Veteran Dies Alone program. Right. And hospice ended up being the best job I ever had. I loved it more than I have really loved anything. It's just such a fabulous way of healing families and through the death process and honoring people and their lives. And then you get a couple years down the road, and I was doing Reiki on a friend of mine, and he had never had any energy work done on him before. And he's like, everybody in the world should know about Reiki. And I said, yes. He goes, how do you find it? How do you find this? Let's make a Reiki app. And at that point, the Lord just like blew the top of my head off, and the whole idea of 11 was downloaded. And that idea is, how do we match practitioners and clients together? How do clients find practitioners, and how do practitioners get what they practice out there in the world? There
Right.
just isn't anything for that, because most of natural healing comes from within or comes from plant medicine, and you can't make money in that. The big
Right.
pharma does not want you to do it, so they're not going
Right.
to promote it. And they do not want to promote that healing from within concept, or that you could go pick weeds in your garden and
Right.
create a tincture that is more powerful than ibuprofen. And so this has been my mission since then. We started this 8 years ago. It has been a journey. I believe that the Lord puts obstacles in front of you um, for you to learn. There is no such thing as failure.
Right.
Failure only happens when you quit
Yeah.
doing what your mission is. And so it's been a long journey, but we are going to be, we're doing the beta testing right now. It is a very, very intricate company. It's called 11.com, and it's spelled ELEV3N.com. And the 3 is for the Ohm sign, which is the Trinity.
Right.
We're a Christian-based organization. We start our meetings with prayers. Lots of times we end with prayers. Everything we do comes from that sense of, what does the Lord want us to do? Because
Right.
in reality, this is his project, not our project. We
Right.
are stewards of this project, and that's how we've always felt. And we are in beta testing right now. I'll spell that again. It's 11 ELEV3N.com. But hopefully in April, we'll start onboarding practitioners. We
Awesome.
also want to be the largest database of holistic health in the world. That's what our goal is, to eventually be that. So if you have a bad back, go to 11.com.
Right.
What are the modalities that can help with that? What are the natural things that you can do? What are the simple exercises you can do on the floor? If you have a headache, how do you get rid of headaches without constantly polluting our bodies with
Right.
these chemicals? To get rid of a headache, you have a pressure point right here in your hand. You'll know it as soon as you hit it, because it's so painful.
Yeah.
And you just massage it gently, switch back and forth on your hands. The pressure point on your thumb, put a little rosemary oil on there, or peppermint oil on there, and you can get rid of your headache without having to take a prescription pharmaceutical.
Right.
And so that's what our goal is. We eventually will have a marketplace. And so this is a big vision.
Oh, yeah.
And you can go to 11 right now, 11.com, and sign up for our newsletter. And then we will inform people how to, we'll have DIYs, like we'll do it yourself.
Right.
How do you make your laundry detergent? How do you make your own bug spray? How do you
Right.
do these things without poisoning your body? When we get going, we'll have the top practitioner of the month, who's really outperforming out there, different
Right.
modalities every month. So when you go to our site right now, we have, I think I'm not quite sure how many, 200 different modalities at the moment. And you can read what these modalities are. That's another
Right.
problem, is people are ignorant because we don't put it out. They don't know what's out there in
Right.
order for them to be able to heal themselves.
Yeah.
And so this is what our basically our gift is. And it's free to sign up. You can peruse our site. You can read our blogs. You can go to our healing library. You can look at different positions and see what their ratings are. And then if you're a physician, you can make your own profile page. And then it will have the ratings, what people say about you, how many appointments have been booked with you, what your specialty is, how many different modalities you practice. And nothing comes out of your pocket unless money is coming in. And when someone
Right.
books you, then we charge 11%, so we can keep this site going.
Right.
So that's our goal and mission.
So I love the concept of connecting people, because as you said, when you've got the description in there of what all these modalities are, there's a lot of people that, and maybe it's it's an unfortunate. I went to somebody and they didn't know what they were doing, or they said they
Yeah,
were this and it backfired, or you went and you didn't go to the correct person for what you needed
right,
healing with. And so this misnomer gets out there that like, oh, they're just snake oil salesmen and they're not doing
yeah, right,
anything. And it's just, but there's so many different things out there because there's there's so many different things that can work depending on
right.
what your ailment is or what your issue is. And it's a matter of figuring out which one is the correct one for you. And to just start Googling that is daunting.
Yeah, it's daunting. And see, we're all energy beings. So
Right.
all of us is energy. And with different natural healing things is energy also. So
Hmm.
what might be a match for one person in energy work might not be a match for somebody else.
Right.
And so, and we are we have this willingness to experiment with pharmaceuticals. Oh, that medicine didn't work, so the doctor gives you a second medicine. We don't think
Right.
anything of that.
Right.
But when it comes to natural stuff, then we say, oh, this didn't work. And then we sort of lump all of holistic health in the same thing.
Hmm.
Oh, and they poo poo it, which is what pharmaceutical companies want you to do. Like
Right.
there is a pushback because it doesn't make money.
Right.
If that's a big thing, is natural health is natural.
Yeah.
And so, but where did the pharmaceutical companies get their drugs? They got them from studying what natural health does.
Oh, sure.
And so you look at the willow bark and how it does aspirin. And so they take the same thing in a chemical form and
Hmm.
create a pill for it and give it to you. And that way they can make money.
Right.
And and so how do we get back to homeostasis? How do we
Right.
get back where our body knows how to heal itself?
Yeah.
And if you just take Reiki, so Reiki is just your opening up your crown chakra, the top of your head, to the Lord's divine light to come down through you. You are not doing the healing. The Lord and the person you have working on the table,
Hmm.
that person is willing to heal themselves through
Right.
the Lord's energy.
Right.
So say that you've taken too much ibuprofen and now your liver is having problems because ibuprofen causes liver damage. What you're doing is you're opening yourself up for, it's like being the pencil or the pen in the writer's hand.
Mm.
You're just the conduit for the Lord. And
Right.
you put your hands over that person's liver and you let that energy run through you to that liver that doesn't have enough energy on its own to heal itself.
Yeah.
And then the body either chooses to accept that or not. And
Hmm.
so you can, if you have an underlying thing of owning that disease, if you're always saying, I don't feel good, I'm sick, that your brain hears that
Oh,
constantly
yeah.
and and performs that way.
Hmm.
If you are telling yourself you're sick all the time, guess what? Your brain doesn't know the difference whether you are sick or not.
Yeah.
And so you can have the most wonderful healing master putting his hand sending energy on you, but if you can't get your brain around that you are actually going to heal, then it's not going to do anything no matter what you try, whether
Right.
it's chemotherapy or people
Yeah.
pass from using those things all the time. So the first thing, it's with 11, we're mind, body, and spirit and the earth.
Hmm.
So you have to work on spirituality, your mental construct, and your physical construct. It all goes together. Where
Oh, yeah.
that's why it's holistic. We
Hmm.
have taken in this allopathic way of segmenting. You
Hmm.
just go to an eye doctor. You just go to an endocrinologist. You just go to all these different things. Well, guess what? All of them are working together.
Oh, yeah.
And the symptoms might be that you're having indigestion, but it might not be because of your stomach. It could be
Right.
loads of other things.
Yep.
And so we have to get back to treating the entire body.
Yeah.
I used to go to a Dr. Gupta and my kids were little, and he was a homeopathic doctor, and he'd sit you on the table and he'd go, well, is your right toe cold? I look at him like my right toe cold, like, and then he'd check your tongue. He'd look at your fingernails,
Yeah.
and then he would see, how is your whole body
Right.
working? How is the energy running? How is it functioning? And that's what I want to bring back into. And I think holistically, holistic practitioners, naturopathic doctors, that's what we're bringing back, is it's that we are whole beings and
Right.
we deserve to be treated as whole beings.
Yep. Well, and
And it's
it's
gone.
very true what you say is that and I've got family members that don't follow, along with what I'm trying to preach and talk about
Yeah,
in that same aspect. And so it's like, they talk about, oh, well, I went to this doctor and then, I had to go to this doctor for this and now my medicines I'm having all this reaction and my gut's all messed up and all that. And I'm like, well, yeah, because those doctors aren't talking to each other. And
right.
so and they only care
Absolutely.
about their specific little area. And so when you're on 4 or 5 different medications prescribed by different doctors, well, they're most likely they're interacting with each other in a negative way, which is messing you
Yeah.
up.
And the side
Versus,
effects are horrendous.
oh, sure,
Yeah,
versus like going and seeing somebody who's saying, let's look at the whole, like what's going on. Where's the root cause? Okay, this symptom that's showing up in your liver is probably not, most likely, your liver that's the cause. It's
right.
something else, and your liver's just the one that's finally saying enough,
Yeah,
right? And
absolutely.
and so it's like finding somebody that can look at that and you're not going to get that in the traditional doctor's office 5-minute visit.
No. And you're not. And that's a problem, is and they're also paid by the pharmaceutical companies
Right,
and to deliver a certain amount of
right,
pharmaceutical.
right.
And so we've created this fear of being ill, instead of it, your body is trying to heal itself.
Hmm.
Lots of times we get sick, our immune system gets boosted. If
Right.
we show any symptoms of it, and we got to mask it. It's the
Yeah.
same with emotions. Don't have an emotion. Don't be angry. No, feel your anger. What are you
Right.
angry about? Don't act on it.
Right.
And so we're trying to mold people down to little robots and clay figures, and everyone has to be exactly like taking art and music and stuff out of schools. Well, that's what stimulates your brain. Like
Right.
the school systems now, where we're robotic and do it this way, don't have critical thinking.
Hmm.
And we've been programmed not to think out of the box. And so when the pharmaceutical companies give you a drug that says may cause this, that, and the other thing, the most heinous things you've ever heard in your life, and
Right.
people go, okay, I'll take that. But if they say, oh, and if you go to an acupuncturist, it might not work, oh, then I won't do it.
Right.
No side effects.
Right.
So they'll take the drug
Yep.
that will cause all these things, but they won't try the acupuncturist because it might be woo woo. And
Right.
so it's the big thing right now is to get through that programming that we have,
Yeah.
that this doesn't work, or it's out there in the woo woo land.
Hmm.
And that's part of our goal, is to educate people,
Right.
to educate them. It's like, what are you putting on your skin? What's the lotion? Have you read
Right.
the chemicals that are on there? What is
Right.
that doing to your body? Your body doesn't know how to simulate that. Where is it collecting?
Yeah.
The underarm deodorant, the aluminum,
Oh, yeah.
with the laundry detergents.
Hmm.
It never washes out completely. Your skin is your biggest organ, and you're rubbing that into your body all the time. And then we
Right.
wonder why we're sick.
Yeah.
Why do we have brain fog? Why do we just want to veg out in front of the TV and just have information coming at us continuously without being able to think? All of this is because of how we're living.
Yeah.
And so at 11 is, we want to change that, with the newsletter, with DIYs, with the healing, with the blogs. All of that is free.
Yeah.
All of that is free. Just go to 11 and sign up. It doesn't cost you anything. And then and be part of the change that's going to take on this world, because we are changing. And I
Yeah.
think COVID did that for us,
Right.
because we were blind to so much of what was going on in the world. And then COVID hit, and guess what? Alternative medicine has skyrocketed.
Oh yeah.
50.5 was spent in I think 2020 around the world on holistic health.
Yeah.
$1 trillion.
Yeah.
And so that is jumped way up. I think the last time was 2017, it was 4.4 trillion. So people are waking up,
Yeah.
and we want this to be a gift to the world where people can in the privacy of their own home,
Right.
go to 11, peruse through different modalities, figure out what talk to a practitioner. On our website, we have a 15-minute free call with a practitioner, so you can talk to a practitioner beforehand.
Right.
And we just want to make this as organic and a beautiful experience as you can,
Yeah.
where you're testing the waters on a different modality where it isn't scary.
So do you think that people's perception is because of, is it all because of advertising and marketing and just the way that they've just pumped billions of dollars into it? Because if you look back to, and I even look back to like, I used to watch Little House on the Prairie growing up, right? Family, and we would watch it. And one thing that sticks in my head is that I remember whenever they would have an episode where the doctor would come and do whatever, right? The town doctor, he'd come in, and oftentimes he'd just say, let's just watch it for a couple of days and let me know if she gets better.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, why is it now that like we can't just do that anymore?
Right. No doctor house calls. No, everything is like, I saw a doctor for a long time. He retired. And when the last time I saw him, I don't go to doctors very often.
Mhm.
His whole office had become computerized.
Yeah.
And he took me out of his office. And he said, listen to everything I say now.
Oh,
And if
wow.
I don't prescribe the general thing from pharmaceutical companies, not from a doctor, which pharmaceutical companies are not doctors,
Right.
they give you a prescribed thing to do, and you have to do that protocol.
Right.
And he said, like mammograms, I'm sorry, more women have died of breast cancer since mammograms came out than not. Why? Because your body can usually your body gets cancer cells and sheds them all the time.
Oh, all the time.
time.
All the time.
And we're detecting these things at a very early age, which causes people to do all these terrible things to their body,
Mhm.
cut off their breasts, do all the chemotherapy, which is killing them.
Right.
Suntan lotion, doctors, so they have journals and journals and journals of doctors through a couple hundred years. So if you were a physician, you wrote down who you saw, what it worked, what didn't
Right.
work, all this stuff.
Right.
Almost no one saw skin cancer. Skin cancer just wasn't a thing.
Right.
You saw maybe one person a year.
Yeah.
And then suntan lotion came out, and now everyone has skin cancer.
Right.
Why? Because we're rubbing this chemical nightmare into our skin and then baking in the skin.
Yep.
In the sun.
Yep.
And what does that do? I mean, we've been taught not to think.
Yeah.
Like if you ask someone, what is that doing to you? Look at that list. You're putting it on your skin, your little babies, and you're baking it now into the skin. What
Yep.
do you think the chemical reaction of that is?
Right.
And
well, and then if
so
you get skin
terrified.
cancer,
Yeah.
If you get skin cancer, what do they say? Take the higher dosage of one and put it on. And
Yeah.
don't ever go outside without it on. Right.
Yeah. And then they burn it off.
Yeah.
With the same,
Yep.
light that's coming from the sun. They just
Yep.
take it and burn it off.
Yep.
So,
and that's something that like, and so I shave my head, right? And I'm a runner. I run anywhere between, on average, I run probably 6 to 7 miles a day. And so, in most of the time it's during the sunlight. I'm not a run in the dark in the morning or late at night person. I run during the day. And
yeah.
people always like, aren't you afraid of, I'm like, no, I don't wear sunscreen. I let my
Right.
skin naturally adapt to,
Absolutely.
the sunlight. And and I and I've said this before on the podcast, and I've had a couple of people ask me, like, are you nuts? But
Yeah.
the way that I eat is so clean, and that, like, I don't get a lot of chemicals in my body. And so I don't use soap when I shower anymore. I haven't for about
Right.
5 years because I don't need it. And so the other thing I'm not doing through like scrubbing soap all over me is I'm not rubbing that protective layer off,
Right.
right? Those dead skins, it's providing a little bit more protection from sunlight and chemicals and all that kind of exposure stuff. And so it's because I've got doctor friends from church that are just like astounded that I don't have skin cancer yet on my head. And I'm like, no, it's not going to happen,
Right.
And a whole nother reason why it's not going to happen is because I tell myself it's not going to happen.
Absolutely. Yeah. Mind over matter. There's
Yep.
an amazing story of a woman whose test got mixed up. And she was told that she had 6 weeks to live and go put her everything in order. She
Oh, well.
dies. And in
Yeah.
about 6 weeks, they do an autopsy. She doesn't have cancer.
Yeah.
Then they find out that the person that they told didn't have cancer is living this wonderful life, and her cancer disappeared because she didn't have cancer anymore.
Yep.
So just from that, and that is, you can look that up. That is a true story.
Yeah.
And it's so much of what we really think is how our body reacts. It doesn't know the difference.
Right.
And so yeah, I tell myself, I'm healthy. I'm healthy. Now, how I got the swine flu in 2011 is I get myself run down. I run a ranch down here in Florida. I
Hmm.
have 34 grandkids at the moment. I was trying to do another job.
Yeah.
And when I run myself down, I know it instantly.
Yeah.
I do not get sick unless I run myself down. And as soon as I'm run down, if I ignore my body's signals to myself,
Right.
I'll end up with a sore throat,
Hmm.
stomach upset, whatever. I haven't been sick, well, actually, in this last whole COVID thing,
Yeah.
I did get something that was sort of like the swine flu, except for it didn't go into my lungs.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, I'm not going to name it at the moment,
Right.
but whatever they're poisoning us with, I did get something, but normally I'm healthy. I
Yeah.
try to eat well. I have a huge garden down here on the ranch. I do permaculture and hugelculture. I teach people how to grow their own food.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you do it holistically? Because so much, you are what you eat.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so the the food, the list on your ingredients, look at
Hmm.
your ingredients list in your food. Does it say bioengineered? The Hellman mayonnaise, the pretzels, it will say this is bioengineered food. It's
Right.
not good for you.
Right.
It's not good for you. And if we could just start, people all over the world are in their own little gardens, and I think that is fabulous. And
Yeah.
that's what I think really needs to be happening. And that's why on 11 we have mind, body, spirit, and the earth.
Right.
And so our mission is to be the catalyst to transform the way people see health by connecting practitioners and clients together. That's our whole thing. How does a practitioner find clients? Advertising is so expensive.
Oh,
In a
yeah.
little tiny magazine, you might get a Whole
Yep.
Foods. It's $500 for a little tiny square. You
Yep.
don't know if you're getting one at that or not.
Right.
We
Right.
want 11 to be that place where people just go, like a household name, not, like Google or Amazon, but for
Right.
health.
Yeah.
Like, how do we do this in a way? There's no one researching all this stuff because it doesn't make money. They're
Right.
not going
It's
to
true.
promote it.
Yeah.
It's if it's natural, organic, and healthy, where our whole goal is to make healthy people,
Yep.
not to make more sick people that takes more medicine.
Right.
Like, how do you maintain that health in your body, mentally, physically, where you're emotionally, where you're stable and sound, and your children and your partner can count on you,
Right.
where you're not an emotional basket case.
Yeah.
And so much of that is what we're putting in our bodies, what we're
Mhm.
watching on TV.
Yeah.
You know, we used to be those people that sat on the front porch and watched the sunset because we didn't
Right.
have this information coming
Yep.
at us constantly all the time. There
Yep.
was that natural relaxation, that hanging out with families, going for walks, grounding,
Yep.
the energy from the ground. This Mother Earth was made for us to, if you feel like you're depleted in energy, go put your feet on the ground.
Yep.
That's why people feel so wonderful going to the beach. Everybody wants to go to the
Mhm.
beach. Why? Because they take their shoes off, put their feet in the sand, and go in the water. They're
Yep.
being re-energized.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's the type of stuff that we're going to have on our site, or that we do have on our site, is that
Well,
you can go and find those things.
right. And you bring up a great point we used to be a person that would sit on the porch and watch the sunset or just sit and
Find a
talk
friend.
or just sit and just
Yeah,
relax and just be with ourselves and for lack of a better term, be bored, just
yeah,
sitting there. But the other piece of that is the exposure to, everything that's in the air,
yes,
right? Nowadays, everybody's got allergy issues and, you know, um, Claritin and all those things are like always on TV, advertising because everybody seems to have, and it's like if you just go outside and spend time in nature, your body will build up the natural immunity to those things,
right,
and it's like, and no, I'm not saying that, yes, people do have allergies and sometimes it's something that can be severe, but most of the time it's just stuff that because we've become a society of live in your house, make your house as vacuum tight as you can
yeah,
so nothing gets in, get all the dirt out, kill all the germs, and like we're becoming so our immune system is becoming so basically like unnecessary from the standpoint of like it doesn't work anymore when
right.
it needs to be working all the time. We need to be exposing it all the time. I think back to stories of parents with kids, and it's like, are you the parent that wants your kid to go play in the mud and get it just all over themselves, and are you the parent that's like, no, 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 stay over here, it's dirty
Don't
over
get
there.
dirty.
Right. Don't get dirty. Let's wipe your hands off real fast. Like, I'd rather be the parent, like letting my kids play in the mud, get exposed to everything, like,
Absolutely.
because that's how your immune system gets stronger.
And with allergies, do raw local honey. It
Right.
collects
Yeah. I tell people
pollen.
that all the time.
Yeah. If you have bad allergies, might take a year or so,
Right.
but do build your immune system.
Yep.
If you talk about, that's a natural vaccine,
Yep.
and if you take these artificial vaccines, they cause a bunch of allergies. When you look
Yeah.
at the allergies that people have now, same thing as before skin cancer. They didn't
Hmm.
have the amount of allergies before we were giving the vaccines. And when I
Right.
was younger in the 60s, you got maybe 3 or 4 vaccines. Wish I
Yeah.
didn't have any of them. But now there's what, 72 of them?
Something. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you were polluting these beautiful, innocent little bodies that we've been given
Yep.
and putting this chemical shit show in them.
Yep.
And what does that little body do? It creates antibodies and things to all this chemicals that are in there that
Hmm.
causes allergies and all these things down the road.
Right.
And so it just to educate, I would love to just educate people on all the different things that they're putting, whether it's vaccines or pharmaceuticals, or
Hmm.
there's a million things that they want to do. And I'm not all against allopathic medicine. If I'm in a car accident, take me to the
Right.
hospital
Exactly. Yep.
and then send me a Reiki master.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, in Pennsylvania where I live, there's a hospital. The hospital right next to me has Reiki masters,
Hmm.
and any surgeon can have Reiki before and after they go
Oh,
into
wow.
surgery. The surgeon himself to build up energy.
Yeah.
And I've done Reiki on patients many, many times in the hospital there. So even hospitals are starting to identify
Yeah.
that that laying on of hands. Well,
Hmm.
Jesus. I mean, if
Yeah.
you look at I'm Christian, and if you look about what the Lord did when he was on the earth, what are the things he did? Almost everything was healing.
Yeah. Oh,
Why?
yeah.
Why? Because when you're not healthy, you don't care about what's happening in the world around you.
No, it's true. Mm-hmm.
And you don't care what the government's doing. You don't care what they're polluting the waters. You don't care. You don't have the energy for all that. If your
Right.
kids are sick, you don't have the energy for that.
Yep.
And so what the Lord did was he came down and he said, no, you need to be healthy. You need to heal. He didn't send out his disciples and build a temple, do all these things. No, he sent them out for healing.
Right.
Heal the blind, heal
Yep.
the cripple. Why? Yep. They didn't have a big pharmaceutical bag of drugs when they went. They had their
Right.
hands.
Yep. Yep.
And maybe spit, maybe mud.
Right.
and hands. That was really basically it.
Yep.
There wasn't some big, huge thing
Yeah.
that, take all these 10,000 pills, take it every day for the next 30 days, and then you'll be well. No, it was
Right.
instantaneous. And I've had instantaneous healings, and
Yeah.
I've had worked on other people that, for quite a bit. And it's all what is receptive to them. And if something
Oh, yeah.
doesn't go to another person.
Mm-hmm.
My husband, acupuncture does not work on him. It just doesn't. Whatever he's dealing with doesn't work. My niece had not scoliosis. What's it called? It's a disease where your skin starts hardening. The name's escaping me. And
Okay.
the doctors ended up saying to her and her mom, my sister, go home. There's nothing you can do. Eventually it will harden all her organs inside and she will
Oh,
die.
wow.
Scleroderma.
Right.
And my sister's like, no, we're not doing that. So she researched it. This was before 11.
Mm-hmm.
She's my co-founder here. And she went and found an acupuncturist. And that was 13 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Been in remission ever since. She has no problems.
Nice.
And so that's the type of thing
Right.
that you can have acupuncture work on one person and not on another. So
Yeah.
acupuncture isn't my husband's thing, but he does BIT, the brain integration therapy, which is a new therapy that's out and about. Well, he fell off. This is a family-owned cattle ranch,
Mm-hmm.
and my mom has a house next door. A tree came down in her house, and he was up on the roof chainsawing it off. And when he stepped off the ladder, it slipped, and he broke his pelvis in 4 places.
Oof.
And he has a heart defect that makes his heart race. And when during surgery, his heart went out of whack, and they couldn't get it back in for 10 days.
Yeah.
So he ended up, without us knowing, from when your heart races that fast, it causes a back eddy in your upper left chamber of your heart, and it created this huge blood clot.
Yeah.
And because you can't get in to see doctors, making a neurologist appointment or heart doctor's appointment when you're not a patient, because he didn't have the problems to go deal with, it was 12 months out.
Right.
And so 9 months later, he has a massive stroke.
Yeah.
This blood clot goes to his brain. So do I love allopathic medicine right there? Yes, absolutely. Take my husband to the doctors and take the blood clot out.
Right.
Afterwards, they have done nothing. Absolutely nothing. Takes months and months and months to get into a doctor, and they look at him and they say, you're fine.
Yeah.
But practice talking a little bit more.
Right.
I take him to a brain integration therapist, and he gets off the table after a 2-hour session, and he's not confusing his words. He's talking. He has the ability to function. And so we see Lisa, and she's up in Pennsylvania. So when he's flown home to see her, and we were seeing her every week before we came down here, and it's changed his life.
Yeah.
And so that's the type of thing that we really want the public to have access to.
And that's something that, you mentioned it because I actually have a friend who's a doctor, And he posted something last night on Facebook about one of his patients that was trying to get in to see a specialist, and for a follow-up. He'd already
Yeah.
had an issue done, the follow-up, and he said the patient responded back to him going, yeah, I can't get in for 8 months. And he's like, are you kidding me? This is a fault. Like,
Yep.
this isn't like a brand new patient who doesn't have a critical issue. This is a follow-up on somebody you've already seen, and you're going to push him off for 8 months. He's like, we have to do better. Um, and I agree. And it's something that, like, I don't go to the doctor very often. As an athlete, I have my doctor there more for really, okay, I need a referral to go see the physical
Yeah.
therapist or the chiropractor or somebody that, the insurance is saying you have to have a doctor's note before you can go get all this stuff done. Because, I sprain my ankle or do something where it's like, okay, I
Right.
want somebody to help me with that. But I haven't been to the doctor for being sick in I don't know how many years.
Yep.
And, and it's just because, and one of the things as a Christian, one of the things that I looked back to is like, okay, well, if I want to live the way that God created us to live, then why don't I live like they lived in the garden? Like, what did they do then? Well, they were outside in nature, right?
Yeah.
They were, all of these, they ate plants, they ate fruits, they ate vegetables, they ate, from the earth, they were in the earth, they were with the earth. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm going to spend as much time as I can in that environment. And it's changed my life. Like, and
Yeah.
it's great because I go to the store almost every time I go to the grocery store. And somebody in there will say like, oh my gosh, I'm checking out, and they're like, oh, I need to buy groceries like this. This is so healthy. Like, what do you do? And I'll tell them what I do. And they're like, oh wow. It's like, how long you been doing this? And I'll tell them, and they're like, wait a minute. Well, how old are you? And they're like, dude, you look like 12 years younger than that, or 14 years younger. And I'm like, yeah, I know. It's like, if you take care of yourself, we don't have to have all these aging issues
Right.
that happen because of the toxic exposure from either chemicals in the food or the processed stuff that we use to clean our house, or the pharmaceuticals that we take.
Right. Yeah, I'm in my 60s and no one believes that I'm in my 60s. I
Yeah.
can squat on the floor, I get up, I can canoe, I work on a garden, I work on the ranch. I'm constantly active
Yeah.
because I don't fall into that category of, oh, I'm in my 60s. I'm gonna,
Right.
take it slow. I'm not
Right.
gonna, blah, blah, blah. No, no. My mom, I have videos on my Facebook of my mom out there at 88 canoeing on a lake
Oh
last
wow.
week.
Wow, that's
And
awesome.
yeah, and she has heart problems. She is not holistic. She doesn't take care of herself, but her mind in her, so I'll reverse that. She tells herself she can do this stuff, but
Yeah.
she's a big pharmaceutical person.
Right.
She's not a natural thing. She doesn't care what she
Right.
eats or anything else. But she's constantly telling herself, I'm fit, I'm young, I can
Right.
do this. And
Right.
that is the side of it that is so important.
Oh, it
So,
is. It is.
and like, even if you take water, bless your water.
Yep.
I look up the things about living water. Oh my gosh, water has memory. It can see.
Hmm.
If you showed a picture of something and flash freeze it, you can see the picture of what the water is shown.
Right.
Like when the Lord says living water, what does that mean? And what have we done to our water? It's horrific.
Yeah.
Um, so they've proven Emoto, who did the, saying the hate words and the love words to
Right.
the
Yep.
water. Have you
Yep.
seen his
Yep.
stuff? Yep.
Hmm.
And then beautiful crystals form.
Yep.
It changes with the prayer, the water before prayer and after the prayer. Or
Yeah.
they make these prayer balls and they put them in polluted rivers and the rivers clean up.
Yeah.
So if you think that you never drink tap water, always have some sort of thing that cleans out
Right.
your tap
Yep.
water, because
Yep.
they allow 10% of what's ever
Oh
flushing down
yeah.
your toilet in your water,
Yeah.
plus the chemicals. Think of all the chemicals that people are taking.
Yep.
All of that is in there.
Yep.
That's all being peed out. And
Yep.
guess what? It's all right. It goes right back into your drinking water.
Yeah.
And so your water is vital. Your breath is vital. If you want to calm yourself, breathe.
Oh yeah.
You want to heal
Totally.
yourself, breathe.
Mhm.
If you want to get through childbirth, what's the main thing they tell you to do? Breathe.
Right.
There's a breathing, there's a rhythm to life.
Yep.
Like we have just these simple things. Everyone should learn Reiki,
Yeah.
how to feel the energy of your body. And if you're having an injury or pain, to be able to Reiki yourself, put your hand over. Why do you think when a mother kisses their child when they have an owie that it works? That energy transfer.
Oh
It
yeah.
actually does something.
Yep.
If you have a child or a spouse has a headache, kiss their forehead,
Yeah.
kiss their eyes, soothe them, be calm around them. You can't believe how fast that you can dissipate things like that.
Right.
We live in this hectic world where we think it's great to be busy, 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 busy. It's not. It's
Yeah.
not. And I'm guilty of that. I have so much going on, but I have to, in my garden, go
Right.
to your garden. I take my shoes off. I walk around the ranch barefoot. I'm always in my garden. I spend time with the Lord every single day.
Yeah.
I get up early. This time that you don't have any time, I'm up at 4:30 every morning, sometimes even earlier. I
Yeah.
spend an hour or two with the Lord every single morning, and then I get on with my day.
Yeah.
I do my
Yep.
studies, I do my garden, I do all the stuff with 11, and I don't confine myself to I don't have time. If it's important, I have time.
Right. Well, and there's like you said, if you look at your calendar, you look at your day, whatever, and you just make sure that you're taking care of your mind, your body, your spirit, and connecting with the earth. And if you spend time doing all those things, what I have seen happen, both with myself and with the people that I work with, is that you start craving those things,
Yes.
right? Your body's telling you that helps me. I want more of that,
Yeah.
right? And so it's like what I tell people that come to me and they question sometimes that they say like, I need to get healthy. And I'm like, okay, well, we're going to start with nutrition. And then after we get you eating a little bit better, then we'll start worrying about exercise stuff. But we're not going to do both at the same time. And they're like, but shouldn't we be doing exercise or shouldn't we? Like, well, if we get you eating better, your body's going to go immediately start saying, oh, well, now that I feel better, I want to start moving more.
Yeah.
And it makes it easier to do that exercise piece of it. And connect those dots. And then it's more sustainable.
Yeah. And that's what a part of 11 is with our newsletter and stuff like that, is we're going to have it do it yourself. Like if you change one thing, like you're saying, like just eat better, choose not to do a chemical deodorant. Like
Right.
if it seems overwhelming, choose one thing
Yeah.
and get comfortable with that, and then choose the next thing and get
Right.
comfortable with that. And you will find just exactly what you just said, is that you start eating better, you get more energy, then you want to exercise. All of a sudden, going for a walk in the morning seems delightful instead of,
Right.
oh my gosh, like just walking,
Yep.
breathing, walking, moving your body.
Yep.
Get down on the floor and get back up. If you're older and you think, I can't get on the floor, don't do that. Get on the floor.
Yep.
Get on the floor and get back up.
Yep.
And do it over and over again till one simple thing.
Yeah.
And that's where life will start changing for all of us. All of
Oh,
us
yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
And so that's why we're going to have a newsletter every week where it's a call to action. Like part of my bio is that I believe that the universe, one song. And
Yeah.
so we're all UniVerse, one
Yep.
song, universe one. So what does that mean? We all create this one song.
Mhm.
And actually the Om sign, on the side,
Mhm.
is when people have near-death experiences, they actually hear this Om
Okay.
often, because it's the sound the universe makes. It's the sound of God.
Mhm.
That even NASA, when they go out in they put radio waves and stuff out there, they hear this Om
Mhm.
sound. And so that's why we have it in there. So we have God in everything that we're doing. But this universe, this one song, we all play a part of that. We're all singing our one song.
Right.
And to me, it's like, don't die with your song unsung.
Yep.
And And to do that, you have to be as healthy and as alive as possible. We all were here, put on this earth for something.
Yeah.
We all have a use. And what
Yep.
is our use? If we're just doing this chemical thing where we're not paying attention what we're eating, what we're watching, we just sit on the couch, we're trying to escape, we're not participating in that universe.
Right.
Where we all are playing a part of that song. We all have a part to play. Sometimes we'll sing out of tune, sometimes we're the chorus, sometimes we're the solo, but
Right.
we're all singing.
Yeah.
You're participating whether you know it or not. So we're asking on 11 is to look at how you're participating.
Right.
How do you do that? And we're having this call to action, like choose something, choose to be different, choose to be healthy, choose to come alive. This world has so many beautiful things to offer.
Oh yeah.
So many beautiful, like participate in them.
Yeah.
And you can change the world. It's not going to come from the government down.
No.
It has to come from the people up, the grassroots people. Every single person changing makes a difference into that universal consciousness. So as we rise up, this world changes automatically with us.
Right.
And that's what 11 is asking.
And like you said, it's if you're so preoccupied with the illness that you have, or just feeling bad because you can't process the stuff that you're putting in your body, like, because it's, no matter what anybody says, that the liver, the kidneys, they're not meant to process these synthetics and these chemicals that are in every pharmaceutical, that are in so many of our processed foods. Like, and so it's slowing you down from being able to help. And like you said, and what's one of the things that I promote to people is, like, once you're healthy, then you can go out and really see what you can do.
Yeah.
Like, because otherwise you're preoccupied with, I feel horrible. I can't do anything because of this, that, or the other reason, or why I feel so bad. And so one of two things happens. One is you just don't do anything in the moment, and two, you die earlier than you should.
Absolutely.
And so you're not giving us what you could possibly give us in the moment, and you're not giving us, from a longevity standpoint, what could be compounded from that moment as well.
And you're not giving to your children in the next generation. You're not playing catch with your son. You're not flying a kite with your daughter. You're not looking at the local stream and looking for rocks and being magical and creating an experience. It's that go to work, kids go to a latchkey or something else, and then you're at home. You have to do all the cooking and the laundry and the cleaning, and it's like we just are like going.
Yep.
And it's that old proverb of stop and smell the roses. Like, you do not want to be like working in hospice at the end of your life, laying in your bed thinking, what did I do with myself?
Right.
How I wasted my life. I've never sat with someone who is passing that said they wish they would have spent more time at work.
Right.
They wish they wanted to accomplish their dreams. They wish they wouldn't have let their kid childhood go by so fast without paying attention, or their grandchildren. What were they busy with?
Yeah.
If you look back, what was I busy with all this past year?
Right.
So many things you can accomplish, so many wonderful things you can accomplish if you stop telling yourself you're too busy. And make the time for what's really important and how to have the best life you possibly can. And what we're looking for people to write things in, like, if you have ingredients to do a mustard plastered on your chest, or how to get migraines, or we want that information. Contact us, go to our site and say, and submit these things. We don't want it to be where all this information is coming from us. We want people to go interview the little babushka women with the little kerchiefs in their house in Poland and say, what did you do when someone had a cold? That generation's dying off. We want to preserve all that information. What were the natural things you did? Because guess what? We have never lived in a time where our water was polluted, our air was polluted, or the food we were eating, the ground is polluted, the cars and stuff. There's never been a time like this.
Yeah.
where we're spraying the skies and doing all this stuff. Our
Right.
bodies never had to respond to all this stuff.
Yep.
And it's not going to get better by doing the chemical pharmaceutical stuff. They
Right.
just take another pill. It's
Yeah.
going to have to come from the inside out, where we say that enough is enough.
Yep.
And we start healing from the inside out.
Yeah.
The Lord said that the leaves of the tree are for the healing of the nations. Why did he say that? Because the leaves of the tree are for healing of the nations.
Right.
It really is true. It's an actual statement. It's just so many leaves out there. Like, you can eat, like if you're growing sweet potatoes, you can eat the leaves and the sweet potato.
Right.
Well, most people don't know that. They just think they have sweet potato. You only eat the potato. No, a
Right.
lot of the leaves of the plants you can eat, that rich, green, natural from the ground. Don't spray Roundup. If you spray Roundup, you're killing your kids, your plants, your trees, your everything. Like, it is horrific.
Yep.
There are so many natural white vinegar, baking soda, and some salt in a spray bottle. There's so many natural things you can do that make you healthy, the plant healthy, the world healthy.
Yep.
And that's where we want, like, if you don't know it, we want people to go to 11.com. Where do you find it? ELEV3N.com. Go find, submit things, register as a client, register as a practitioner. You won't be able to do that till April, but I mean, you can still peruse our site. You can read all about modalities. You can go to our blogs and our things. You can't, we're in beta testing for practitioners, but at the moment, but as a client, you can sign up.
That'll be good. That'll be good. So, and I'll link that in the show notes so that people can just click on the link and get there really quickly. So is there anything that you would recommend for people as we finish up, like the person that's like that is the person that, whether they tried something, years ago in the holistic manner and it didn't work, or they've just got that group of friends, it's like, oh, don't do that. That stuff's all malarkey. That stuff doesn't work. But they continually struggle with the pharmaceutical side and it's just not working and they're searching for something else. What would you say to help motivate them to give it another try?
Is that to understand that we are bigger and more powerful than we have ever been led to believe.
Yeah.
And that we do have the capacity to heal within ourselves. And what we need to clue into is it chiropractic? Is it acupuncturist? Is it Reiki? Like, we're all energy beings. And as soon as you understand that we really are energy beings, you can put little electrodes on our skin and you can see the little meter goes up.
Right.
You put rubber shoes on, it doesn't. You take your rubber shoes off, stand in the ground, goes completely up instantly. Why? Because we're energy. Everything around us is energy. The things we're watching TV is energy. Well, those pharmaceutical pills are energy also. And so what energy are you putting in your body?
Right.
And so to realize that if you can just say to yourself, I am an energy being of light from the Lord, and please lead me to the right modality. And you might need to try a couple. Go see what it's like to have energy work on you. You usually feel much calmer. Try breathing. Try grounding. Just try doing some few simple things. Go to our site and look up the different modalities. Read about them and say which one appeals to you. And then find a practitioner who does that.
Right.
And that's what we want, is to realize that we're not just a meat suit.
Yeah.
When you die and you come out of this, your spiritual being is clothed in this.
Yeah.
And so we are so much, when you pop out of this body, you realize that you are a divine being, and that divine being lives in this meat suit right now.
Right.
And so what you're going to do is, with all these different modalities, is giving that divine being within you how to deal with the meat suit. And so every energy works differently. Every modality works differently, and be willing to say, to understand that and move forward in that concept, and realize that you're going to need to find a modality that matches your energy. And think of your intuition. Like we have been told to shut off intuition, but yourself knows. And so see what you hooked with. Like
Yeah.
read through the different modalities. And if you're all of a sudden like, wow, that's interesting, then that's probably the one that you
That's
should
probably
try.
it. Yeah, it's true.
Believe
So,
in yourself. We have to start
right,
believing in ourselves
right.
and what we know
And
to be true.
and believing that we can actually heal ourselves, because we
Yes.
can. If and it's true, and it's, you may be somebody out there just thinking like, oh, but that that only happens to that person, or whatever. But I'm a firm believer, if somebody else can do it, I can do it.
Yes.
Right? I may not be able to do it as well as they can, like throwing a football or something, but if somebody else's body can heal, my body can heal if I
Yeah.
give it the right things. And so
Yeah, absolutely.
and that's why I think there's so many different ways to do it, because it's everybody is different, and everybody's energy is different, everybody's experiences are different, everybody's injuries and illnesses are different. And so it's a matter of, like you said, which one matches up with what you have going on.
Right. Exactly. And that's what 11 with connecting holistic and practitioners and clients together. There isn't one place where everyone can become a
Right.
family.
Right.
So you might go to this one website that works on breathing or cold therapy or Reiki, but it's that one site. And so
Yeah.
nothing else is available. What we want to do as 11 is to have everybody form a family, a community where we're all helping each other and
Right.
giving information together. So it's a one-stop shopping where you can just really go and find all the different places in one spot.
Yep. Well, and that's great. And I love what you're doing. I love it. I think it's
Thank
so
you.
necessary, and everything I can do to help promote it, I'll be right there with you.
Thank you.
So thank you so much, Laurie, for being a guest.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thanks for checking out the Confidence Through Health podcast. Please subscribe, post a review, share this episode with those you love who need a little extra help with their health journey. Visit allinhealthandwellness.com to learn more about the coaching programs that I provide. All episodes are produced by the Social Media Cowboys, your source for all online marketing needs. Go to socialmediacowboys.com for more information.